All right, so if you're a developer who's been working with LLMs, you know the dance. You know the constant back and forth of prompting and getting a response. But what if you could stop being the dance partner and become the choreographer? Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful new way of thinking, building and directing autonomous AI crews that can tackle complex jobs all on their own. Let's get into it. So let me just ask you this straight up. Think about how you use an LLM, whether you're hitting an API or just messing around in ChatGPT. Do you ever get that feeling that the AI could do so much more if you weren't constantly in the middle of it, feeding it the next instruction? Could it be that you, the developer, are actually the bottleneck? I'm sure this whole process looks incredibly familiar. You write a prompt, you get a response that's, okay, it's close, but it's not quite right. Maybe the formatting is off or it totally missed some key detail. So what do? You jump back in, you give feedback, you ask it to tweak this or rephrase that, and you go back and forth until you finally get what you need. It works, for sure. But the whole thing depends on you being there, manually guiding it every single step of the way. Yeah, this quote just nails it, right? You become the blocker. To get those really great results, you have to be in the driver's seat, constantly steering and correcting. Look, it's an amazing assistant, but it doesn't have real autonomy. And that stops you from focusing on bigger picture stuff, while the AI just handles a task from start to finish. So how do we get out of this loop? This is where things get really interesting. We're about to make the jump from a passive LLM that just follows instructions to an active, autonomous AI agent. This is the real key to unlocking what these models can do, letting them work independently to hit a goal. And this isn't just a change in how we think about it, it's a change in the structure. We're actually going to define the agent itself. The whole thing that makes this possible is this idea of cognition. See, because these models have been trained on just an insane amount of text, they can actually reason through problems. So in a framework like CrewAI, we tap into that by giving the agent a very specific identity. You define its role, what it is, you define its goal, what it's trying to achieve, and, this is the secret sauce, you give it a backstory. The backstory is its whole personality, its guiding philosophy, it's what shapes every decision it makes. And here's the light bulb moment. An agent is truly born the second an LLM stops waiting for you and starts asking itself questions. With that role and goal you gave it, it can think, okay, is this step getting me closer to my goal? Based on my backstory as an expert analyst, how can I make this output better? That internal feedback loop, that power to self-correct, man, that is the absolute game changer. Okay, but an agent that can only think is kind of stuck inside its own digital head, right? To be really effective, it needs to be able to do things, and that's where tools come in. Just think of tools as the agent's hands. They're basically just functions you pass to it so it can interact with the real world. Things like the Serper Dev tool to search Google or the Scrape website tool to pull data. This is also how we solve for memory. Short-term memory is pretty simple. You just pass context from one task to the next. But for long-term memory, you can give it a tool to query a vector database, effectively giving it a permanent knowledge base it can draw from. So a single agent with tools is already pretty amazing, but now let's level up. What if we build a whole team of them? This is the core idea behind multi-agent systems. Instead of building one massive generalist agent that tries to do everything, you assemble a crew of specialists, where each agent is an expert at its one specific job. And this chart really lays it out. A single agent is a generalist, a jack of all trades, master of none. But a multi-agent system, that's a team of specialists. Each one has a laser-focused role, and the final result is just leagues better. It's really the difference between hiring one handyman to build your whole house versus hiring an architect, a plumber, and an electrician. The quality is just on another level. The benefits here are just huge. Obviously, you get specialization, which means much higher quality work. You also get crazy efficiency and flexibility. And here's a pro tip, an aha moment for all you developers. This is a massive cost saver. Think about it. You can use a cheap, fast model like Llama 3 for your researcher agent who just needs to go find facts. Then you can bring in the big guns like GPT-4 for your writer agent to craft the final report. And you make this possible with smart task management. You just define a task with a very clear expected output and hand it to the perfect agent for that job. Now, all of this sounds awesome in theory, but you're probably asking, okay, how do I actually build this stuff? Well, for that, there's an incredible open source framework called CrewAI. It's designed from the ground up to let you build exactly what we've been talking about. Agents, tasks, and tools, and then orchestrate the whole thing in a way that's ready for production. And one of the best things about CrewAI is how simple and elegant it is. It takes all these big ideas, agents with backstories, tasks with expected outputs, collaborative workflows, and it breaks them down into really simple, intuitive Python classes. It just makes it so easy for any developer to jump in and start building. So why would you pick CrewAI? Well, it's not just about creating the agents, it's all about the orchestration, how they work together. You can set up a workflow using process.sequential, which is like an assembly line where one agent does its job and then passes it to the next. Or for more complicated stuff, you can use process.hierarchical. This actually creates a manager agent whose only job is to break down the main goal and delegate subtasks to the right workers. It's a super dynamic and powerful way to build a team. I really want to leave you with this thought. The potential here is just huge. We're not just talking about making better chatbots. We're talking about building systems that can autonomously do market research, write and debug code, plan out entire projects. This isn't just a small step forward. It's a fundamental change in how we can use AI to get real, meaningful work done. So, my final question is for you. Now that you have the basic blueprint, how to create specialized agents, give them tools, and make them collaborate, what's the first big, complicated, messy task you're going to give to your very first AI crew? What are you going to build?